the science, although it may seem easy to monetize, we can't go after it just because we're chasing porn. We have to go after it because we really understand the depths of what this science is saying, what's happening, what's being unraveled, because it's not just scalp care. It's not just detoxing, exfoliating the scalp. There's so much more that the scalp is revealing to us. And if you don't understand the intricacies of a microscopic analysis, then you're missing the whole point. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do a scalp detox, but there's so much more when you look at the landscape of the scalp that needs to be interpreted, that is a window into one's health. And all of that is missed if you bypass the trichological experience to go to a scalp spa and you never encounter a beauty professional who is well versed in all areas of cosmetology and trichology alike.
Good evening, everybody. This is your girl, Kai Smith, once again on Transformation Tuesday. How y'all doing, good people? I am here to bring you guys consciousness, to bring you the truth, and to actually help you to expand your businesses in the area of trichology and to also expand your mindset. If this is your first time joining me, then welcome to the ride, because you are in for a treat. As I always do around this time, I always say, put on your seatbelts, grab your oxygen mask, because we're going to take flight. We are going to take flight and ascend to heights so high that it may become difficult for you to breathe. But believe you me, you will make it. Put that oxygen mask on, sit still, and just check in. Get your notes, your notepad, your pen, whatever you need to do, because sometimes we're dropping some nuggets and you don't want to miss it. But again, I'm Kai Smith, also known as your hair loss advocate. I am the founder of the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases, where we certify beauty pros to become functional trichologists. I am the creator of our signature Intro to Trichology program, ID Hair Loss Behind the Chair. That's our 5-day trichological incubator that we host 3 times a year in Houston, Texas. I am an author. I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a lover of God, and I enjoy helping women identify the unknown factors about their hair loss. So every Tuesday, I come on with a topic that will stretch your mind, that will make you say, sometimes it'll make you say, ouch, sometimes it'll make you say, oh. But whatever it makes you do, hopefully is impactful enough to bring about change. Tonight, we're going to be talking about trichology versus non-surgical hair replacement. The power duo you didn't know you needed. Why? Because there are so many different facets of our industry for us to be able to leverage. Sticking to one is just, it's basically not going to get you paid. Why do one when there's so many that our cosmetology and barber license covers and it allows us to touch people? So tonight we're going to be talking about non-surgical hair replacement and how you compare that with trichology. We actually have a non-surgical hair replacement educator that will be joining us at ID Hair Loss Behind the Chair in October. I'm so excited to have her. But tonight we're going to be having a special guest on who's going to be coming in as one of our students. And I'm very, very honored to have her in the space because she's not new to trichology. She's actually already practicing trichology, but she's chosen to come and trust the Kai Smith brand to expand her current knowledge in trichology. And so as a result, I'm having her on tonight. So we're going to be bringing on Ms. Linda Boyce out of Pearland, Texas. So let's bring her on stage. Come on, Miss Linda. How you doing?
I am great this evening. First, let me say it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you for having me. So I can't wait.
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to bring you on because you're not new to this industry. You are 28 years strong as a licensed beauty professional, right? So nearly 3 decades of experience. And so I'm speaking to a pioneer also. So I just wanted to bring you on. I wanted to have a conversation with you because I'm always coming on my platform talking about I have over, 3 decades of experience. And this has been my experience. This has been my struggle. And this is why I want to share the things that I've experienced and I've overcome. And so I just kind of want to pick your brain tonight about some of the things that you've seen, what you've experienced in the beauty industry, and namely, why did you say, hey, I want to do Trichology? So let's start there. What made you say yes to Trichology?
Well, when you have clientele, right? 28 years in, so I've seen some things. I've seen clients begin to lose their hair, right? Little spots here and there, especially in the crown, and things beginning to happen. And they're asking me, they're looking at me, and I'm looking like them, like, right? And the go-to, girl, you stressed, girl, just drink some more water, but when you see these things progress, and I'm like, I don't have answers, like I don't know. And if you've been doing clients for X amount of years, they are looking at you for answers and they expect you to know what the answers are. So I didn't know what the answers are. And I said, you know what? I don't like knowing. I absolutely don't like not knowing. So let me go learn. I started out at hair. It was I forgot what you call it, but it was a whole oh gosh, what's the name of it? I can't think of it. But anyway, they, a lot of people came together, and it was in Atlanta, in different places. So that was my first introduction to Trichology. And then that was around about 2015, 16. And then I realized, wow, there's something to this. There's a lot to know about hair and hair loss. And so that's where my journey began, 2016.
It sounds a lot like myself. A whole lot earlier on in my career, somewhere in about 2006, 7, somewhere around there, I started seeing a whole lot happening to my clients that I didn't have answers for. And I always would say, I know that I'm not over processing with chemicals. I know how to handle the hair. I'm not over processing with heat. I'm not, over pulling the hair mechanically,
Right.
all of the things. But I didn't have any answers. And, for me, the first, line of defense was go see a dermatologist, because that was all I really had until I kept getting my clients' feedback in my chair, and they're saying, well, I went to the dermatologist and they just said, stop using chemicals, and I don't use chemicals. So how could that really be my answer if I don't use chemicals? Or I've gone to the dermatologist and they're giving me all of these topical solutions, and I have black hair and I can't wet my hair every day. I can't do all. So it would be unrealistic protocols that they would come back with that they weren't willing to entertain, because they still have an image to uphold to go to work. They still have a timetable that they need to consider about anything that they're going to be implementing that might derail their whole schedule and have them looking crazy by the head. Nobody wants that, right? And so after a while, after I kept getting all of that feedback, it left me at a loss. And so at this point, now I'm taking the rap for what the dermatologist cannot fix. And that became not okay. And I'm a solution-oriented person. So I'm always looking I'm not going to wallow in, well, it's their fault. They're supposed to be the ones that cater to the hair, skin, and nails. So if they can't help you, there isn't anything that I can do. I started with that. You came to me with hair loss. If the person came to me with hair loss, I would say, I would take my hands off of it. You came to me this way, so I don't know what I could do. Yet I still had an obligation, if they were coming to me, to give them a solution, right? But it took a while for me to grow into that mindset, right? Because hands off, I didn't do it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to take the heat for it. So let me stay away from it, because I had no solution. I had no knowledge, right? So what we fear, we try to stay away from, right? And that was a big fear, that I didn't want to be blamed for taking people's hair out. So I stayed away from it. But if they started experiencing hair loss while on my watch, then I'm we need to do the dermatologist thing. They come back with all this feedback and it's not working. And at some point I had to take ownership to say, but I'm on this front line and I'm the one that needs to have answers. And my logic, I'm all fresh out of logic. The logical things that you would normally say to a person, oh, you're just stressing. Oh, it's your hormones. You know, those types of things were no longer working because they still needed answers. Their hair was still coming out and I was still taking their money. So who was going to be responsible for this? They don't see the derm every week or bi-weekly or,
That's right.
they see me. And so with that said, I had to step into the next level because my next level was calling for me. And that sounds about what you're saying to me as well. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. Next level was definitely calling. Like I said, 2016. And so throughout that journey, so I've taken, I'm not naming any names, but I've taken courses. Okay. And so there was still that thing in the back of my head, Kai, that said, well, if hair grows from inside the body, I don't think an oil is going to work. Right. You know, all the topicals that they push at us, you know, and I'm like, no, you know, and how sustainable, if it grows back, you get fuzz, is that sustainable? Yeah. There's something about that just didn't make sense to me. So I kept reading, I kept going to classes, and there's still something missing. There was still that little piece of something that just did not connect for me. And that led me away from trichology into non-surgical hair replacement, because that's easy. That's easy for me, right? I don't have to think twice about that, you know? And so I got so discouraged, so despondent about the things that I was taught and then not seeing the results. So the kicker for me was I had a client, you know, I'm excited, right? I go to the classes, a 3-day class, a week class, and name it, I've been there. I buy all the bells and all the gadgets, the laser, name it. I had it because you know what? They told me that if I buy these things, I'm going to have the laser 97% on success. So I want to be successful. So I buy everything, you know, and that laser ended up costing me thousands by the end of it. But what really turned me away was that I had a first client. Of course, I'm gung ho, I'm doing this. So I charged her, I don't remember, but it was in the thousands. And we went through all the treatments and everything. And at the end of it all, no response.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? I've got to sleep at night.
Wow.
I need to sleep at night. I can't, and I'm tearing up because I can't take people's money, you know, and I know it's not my responsibility, but at the end of the day, under my watch, you paid money expecting results. I did all that I knew how to do. And in my mind, I'm going to regrow hair. In my mind, I'm going to make this happen. And nothing happened at the end of the treatment plan, nothing, you know? And so that's what discouraged me. And I politely exited over to, you know, the easy road.
Wow. This is very disheartening. And it's disheartening to hear you say it. And I could hear the emotion in your voice as you're saying it. But what's even more disheartening is, do you know how many people have your same story in this industry? And that is my mission. That is one of the things that I aim to curtail. I want to decrease the number of trichologists who get into this space. They don't have what they need. And I'm going to tell you. And so viewers, if you're currently in the space in real time, or if you're on the replay, I hope you hear me good when I say this, because Linda is here sharing her heart. I didn't ask her for this story. This is her heart, and this is what she's sharing in this space. And it resonates so much because I remember when I first started Trichology, and as Linda said, we're not naming names because we're not here to shame any organization. We're here to speak our experiences so that others don't have those experiences, and so that we can find something to fill that void, the holes that were left in us as we spent money searching for something and we didn't get it, right? And so for me, I was the same way. I didn't get what I needed, but I didn't know that I didn't have what I needed until I finished the full course. And I'm out here like you, and I'm taking people's money, and I can't get a result to save my life, because no one taught me physiology. They only taught me how to identify what I was looking at, and I could barely do that. They gave me a certification. Can you believe that they gave me a certification and I could barely and this organization knew that I could barely do this. So they weren't interested in my knowledge and how I represented their organization post my certification. They just wanted to say that they certified me. And I think that we get away from what the goal should be. The goal is not to certify you. So the goal with the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases is not to certify you, because I care about your success. I care about you being successful. I want you to do well post certification. Anybody can pass a test real quick. If you study long enough and you retain for just that moment, you can pass the test. But it's all about how you're going to be able to apply that information in real time and build businesses and change lives. That's what I'm interested in, right? Which is why, you know, I'm not the most popular when it comes to taking my course, because I do things differently. I have integrity when I work with people, the same as you. You're saying, I charge this lady thousands of dollars, and at the end of it, we both lost, but I gained her money only, and I wasn't comfortable with that money. I had a heavy pillow because I took something that wasn't mine because I promised her something that I didn't give her, and it made me feel like crap after I did it. So I walked away from it, right? And but the one thing that I love about what you said is that I walked away from it. Do you know how many people are still taking people's money and they will not walk away and they're not getting results, but they're lining their pockets? Trichology is not a retention-based business. It should never be about retaining clients. Trichology is a expert specialty where you come in and it's for a certain period of time where that customer is having this illness, this ailment, and you bring things into balance. And once you balance it, they're gone. You might have them come back in periodically to just check and make sure that they're still balanced, but you should not continue to see them like you do your regular non-surgical hair replacement clients, or like you see a regular hairstyling client. You don't build Trichology business that way for retention. You're trying to get these people taken care of, get them into balance, let them learn how to live a balanced life, and then you send them back to where they came from, because you should have been able to rectify their problem. And if they had follicles, they should actually be able to sustain a hair growth recovery plan, right? On their own. Because it's about you teaching them how to live healthy, get them all the time, been to trichologists and dermatologists. Absolutely. And so to your point, Linda, so many of us in this industry have the same issue that you and I had, right? And get discouraged because, you know, we feel like we've been duped. We didn't get what we thought we were getting. You said, I bought the laser. They told me 97% success. I want to be successful. So I'm going to buy what you tell me to buy because you're the expert. You're the guru. You've been there. You've done that. So why wouldn't I follow you and do what you say? Because I think you're successful. So many of us have had this issue before. And so the integral part is you saying, you know what? I'm not really fully equipped. I didn't like the feeling of taking thousands of dollars from this woman. I have no idea what I'm doing. Yes, I have all the bells and whistles. I have the state-of-the-art equipment, but I am not getting results with that. And this is what I tell my students all the time. I'm old school. You know, I'm almost 50. So I'm old school in how I move and do things, right? And so I always tell my students, the equipment is nice. It's the front. It's what they come in and they ooh and ah, and you can gloat and you know about all this fancy equipment. But your equipment is your brain. I equip my
Yes.
students to utilize their brain. That's your number one tool as a trichologist that I teach you how to use in ID and at AHSD, because you need to know if all of your tools fail you, all of these gizmos and gadgets, if you don't have a scope, it breaks. Do you not know what you're looking at if your scope doesn't work? If your Zyto compass breaks down on you and you don't know how to look at, the deficiencies, that means you haven't put together a robust enough system for your consultation to understand how to probe based on physiology mapping to know what systems are out of balance. If you don't know how to blood work on your own, then you're up a creek. They have all of these systems where you can put in the blood work, the numbers, and it'll spit out a beautiful report and tell you all of the things, but you don't need that if you know what you're doing.
I got that too. I have everything. If you tell me it's going to give me results, give me that. Give me one of those.
Yeah, so this is going to be good for you when you come to ID. Because you have a lot of equipment, you have a lot of things. So the one thing that you don't have is the knowledge inside of you to make all of these things go, because you are the catalyst that makes all of your equipment go. And so I remember telling one of a few of my students, I had gotten this microscope, and it's a beautiful microscope, over $1,000. It's already pre-programmed with all of these different maladies for the scalp and the hair in it. And I said, why do I need a scope for dummies? I'm the genius. I've been trained on what to look at. I don't need this scope because I know what I'm looking at. I don't need to try to find and match what the scalp looks like on the screen versus what it looks like in my chair. I don't need this equipment to tell me. I tell the equipment what's what. I'm the the intuition here, right? And so with that said, I say all of that because we go into buying all of these different pieces of equipment and then we rely on them and we still can't get the results that we need because we're missing the biggest piece. And the biggest piece is understanding physiology. If you don't know physiology, then there's no way you can practice trichology. No way. Hands down.
And that one of the certifications that I have, it was a year certification. So you go through, the mitochondria and you're like, and you're reading it, you're like, ooh, what is all this? Because it's just words on a piece of paper taking you nowhere, right? So I've tried to, honestly, I try to get through those chapters as fast as I could.
Yeah.
And just take off and no retention. Yeah. Because it's like, what, so you connect dots.
And that mitochondria is the catalyst because it is the organelle that tells it gives the energy for that adenosine triphosphate to go in there for the cells to do what it's supposed to do. It's the powerhouse, right? And we need this. This really starts taking place during cellular respiration. So if you don't understand cellular respiration, you don't understand oxygen, you don't understand mitochondria, then you will never understand how diabetes can impact hair growth. You will never understand how the digestive system is supporting all of this. You will never understand how to put all of that together. And so now you're saying, my client has diabetes. I don't really understand, what's happening. Or my client, lacks digestive enzymes. I don't understand how any of this, works hand in hand with this. Well, if you can't digest carbohydrates, it's going to be really hard for you to have energy, right? If, you're having liver issues, it's going to be really hard for you to balance your energy. So all of these things work together collectively to support the hair growth process. But understanding anatomy, understanding cell health, understanding the functions of the cell and all the different organelles and their roles, understanding protein synthesis and the organelle that supports the protein synthesis, all of these things are integral to helping your client regrow their hair. We got, hey, Sergio, you says about pre-programmed scope, that might be okay while learning, but having that type of tool will make consultation confusing, also cripples you as a consultant on the long run. Absolutely agree. Sergio is an amazing trichologist, pioneer. His dad, he's like second generation trichologist out of Puerto Rico. I love Sergio. He's a wealth of knowledge in the space of trichology. But with that said, there's so many of us who are like what you said. And the crazy part is we hide it. We're ashamed of it. And so then we do all the manual resuscitation and the client can't maintain the results on their own, or they just keep moving. Even if the client is not getting the results, they just keep moving to the next client and the next client. And it's a lack of integrity. It's a number one reason why trichologists get a bad rap. It's a number one reason why dermatologists, they don't really like the sound of trichology. There's many reasons why dermatology doesn't like the sound of trichology, but that's one of them, because, you know, we're trying to do things out of alignment. We're doing things sometimes encroaching up on medical practices because we don't really know how to stay within the legalities of the paramedical field. There's so many reasons why, which is why I'm big on teaching legalities in my course, because we need to understand the legalities of how we need to move to be able to protect ourselves. What I want to do, because we've gone full steam ahead, I want to go into a commercial real quick, because you said something that touched on my nerve. You know, when I heard you get emotional about your experience, that just kind of took me, because it's one of the primary reasons why I go so hard on my platform for what I do, because I understand where you've been. So we're going to come back and pick that conversation back up. Let's run to a commercial. And while we're in commercial, you guys share this live out for me, please.
I met Kai at a convention in New York. I did not know that she was going to be there, but as soon as I walked through the door, she said, "Hey, Jeanette." I'm like, I had never met Kai in person. And I took that personal, but in a good way, because that let me know that you are aware of your followers. And the whole time I was there, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get in her classes, but I got to do it. And then ID behind the chair. And that was in 2018. 2018.
It was the first inaugural for that. Now you went the first inaugural for this. I just thought about that.
Yes. So went there not even knowing what to expect. And when I left, I was empowered. No. And I'm like, I need to learn more. So that was when you introduced the academy too. And then 2020, COVID hit. And I said, you know what? I'm going to register for this because number one, it was online. That worked out for me. So this class for me was a retreat. Mind, body, spirit, finances, everything. It was a retreat. It was just what I needed. I just appreciate you for being transparent. I got more than what I expected because I came wanting something else, but I got exactly what I needed.
My name is Jeanette Frederick.
That just warms my heart. I love Jeanette. Jeanette is a cosmetology instructor and a trichologist doing amazing things in the Carolinas. So I want to hop back. You said what you said. Well, I want to know, you said, I just went to doing what was easier because non-surgical hair replacement was easy. So it was like you suppressed what you really wanted to do. You tucked it away because you didn't find any place that you can go and trust to get it, because you said, you name it, I've been there, I've done it, I bought it, and it still wasn't working for you. So I went to what was a no-brainer for me, which was non-surgical hair replacement. So now this is where you are. You put Trichology on the back burner. You came and sat in, my month of Mondays course with the meatless hairstyle, meatless lifestyle. And then you decided, I'm going to do ID hair loss behind the chair. So now that you've awakened what you've suppressed, the bar has been set high. Now I'm fit for the job. I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm fit for it. But I just want you to know that, like, okay, because this woman has a lot of experience of being failed. And I promise you, I'm not going to do that. I can honestly sit here and say that I promise you that I will not do that. I'm very confident in what it is that I bring to the table and the difference that I make in the industry of trichology, and why people can go elsewhere and then come sit under me and all the light bulbs come on. But with that said, what are you seeking to gain from ID hair loss behind the chair? What is that thing that you're like, I need to walk away with this in order for me to declare this as a success for myself?
Okay, one thing that I neglected to say too, in my journey to understand, I took a course, so I'm a certified health coach.
Okay,
because I understood right when I took a course, got my certification in that, and yet still connecting it to hair loss and trichology, I couldn't make the connection. Yes, there's certain things like, okay, vitamins, minerals, okay, fine. So every time I heard you, Kai, you teach with such conviction. Your heart, mind, soul is in it. And you know what you're saying, and it touched a place in me that no one else have gotten to. Because in my mind, I was not going to take another trichology course. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I can go on YouTube. I can Google whatever I need. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
However, when you Google and you use YouTube and to get certain information, it still doesn't give you a complete picture. You're still pulling a little bit from here, a little bit from there. But I need the full picture. I need the why. And I can't get the why. I know you're going to give me the why.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Every time I logged on, I was so convicted. And I'm going to tell you why I'm convicted, because I love God. I understand that God made us, right? He wants us to prosper and be in health. And I felt like I wasn't doing my best in terms of who I know God is, He wants for us as women, as human race as a whole, people sitting in my chair. Like, I felt like, we can get the man-made wigs. That we can do that all day long. But my part in touching women, and God wanted me to minister to women, and the one thing that He gives us for the glory, why am I not doing that? Why do I feel so like a betrayal?
Yeah.
I really feel that way. And one night I think it was you and Micheline, you were talking, and I walked away and I was in tears. I'm just being very transparent. And I said, God, if you tell me to pick up the trichology again, I'll do it. I will be obedient. And I felt so heavy. Like like, Linda, you need to do this. If you love God and you love people and you love women and you're serving women, you have to do this. At least try one more time, so that you can service, so that you can minister and let people know, hey, there's help. There's help. And I will be less of a Christian. I will be less of a woman of God, or whatever we want to put to it, if I didn't put my 100% in to make sure that I have the information and that I can serve. in that way, to let them know, hey, there's help. You don't have to cover up.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to these crazy looking wigs, right? You don't have to do that. If we could just shift this one thing in your life,
Yeah.
and let the glory of God. I'm sorry, I'm just about that.
No. You're okay. You're okay. Because this is good, because you're going right into the next question that I have for you is, non-surgical hair replacement. You say it's easy, but when it's a gift for us, it's easy. So that's another gift that you have, right? And
Yeah.
you lean more so on that when you couldn't get what you needed out of Trichology. But again, they're a duo, and they go together. They actually complement each other, contrary to what some may believe, right? And so for you, touching women, I know when we conversed, before, you're like, Kai, by the time they get to me, it's done. There's no follicle by the time they get to me. And so my perspective, and I'm like, is this your perspective too, Linda? My perspective is, yes, by the time they get to you, they're done with the follicle, but they're not done in their health. You see, when you practice trichology from a holistic perspective, right? Sergio says Linda Boyce is the hair replacement goat.
Thank you, Sergio.
Yes, Sergio.
Not praying.
And so when you practice trichology from a holistic perspective and you really leverage its power, you understand that it's not about hair loss, it's about health loss. And when you switch reels and you make that shift and you no longer look at this as a hair loss issue, when these clients come and see you and you look at it as a health loss, you're saying, no, it's not the end when they come to me, because maybe they can't get their hair back and we have non-surgical hair replacement, and I am the GOAT, Linda Boyce, that can give you all of that. But I want to give you more than just this non-surgical hair replacement. I want to give you your health. I want to examine you from the inside, and I want to look and see what got you here, because your hair is just a reflection of what's happening on the inside. And because it's eroded all of your hair follicles, that's what you can see. It's still eroding other cells. It didn't stop at your hair cells. It's still continuing to persist. And I need to get in there and I need to see what is going on so that we can stop the erosion on a cellular level as a whole, not just your hair cells. And so with that said, how do you think you're going to, or I shouldn't say, how do you think, what is your mission as the GOAT in non-surgical hair replacement? What is your mission as you utilize trichology and non-surgical hair replacement as this powerful duo that's resurrecting your clients?
So before I answer that question, I would like to say that the majority of women that are wearing cranial prostheses, they wish that they didn't have to. They hate that this is what it's come to, but they don't have any choice at that point, right? But so the emotional part of it that you have to deal with and console them, get into, like before they come in, send me a picture of what you look like prior to your hair loss. So we're going to get you as close as possible as we can. But of course, it's not their natural hair, right? And they always bring pictures of when they had the flowing hair and all of that. But merging the two, of course, I want to intercept them before they get to that, because I know what that looks like on the back end. I know. I wish I didn't have to wear this wig. I wish I didn't have to do that. That's the back end of it. But if I could just intercept them before we get to that point, like you said, Kai, come into the class in October. Me having an understanding, getting a greater understanding of the connection or the disconnect between hair loss and hair health, and hair loss and health, that connection. If not, if I know I will have a better understanding, and so I can intercept. I can intercept that, and I can say, okay, so we don't have to go all the way with a cranial prosthesis, something that's going to use adhesives that's going to exacerbate the problem, because once you go to adhesives, there's really no coming back from that, right?
Mhm.
It's like, same thing in the same place for a long time. We're heading in another direction. But if we can head that off and really get them to understand that you really take um, action with your health. If I can get women to understand, even as cosmetologists, and practicing cosmetology, if I can get you to understand that, listen, if your hair just go wild. I had one client call, did you do your relaxer? Did you do this? No, I didn't do anything. So they're always looking at us, and I'm looking at them because I know now you're not gonna pin that on me. Before, I was like, oh my God, I go home, I ain't get no sleep. But I understand now, right? This one young lady, well, what changed? She said, you know what? When my hair was flowing and healthy, I was drinking my greens, I was eating my greens, and so she to through me questioning her, like I didn't change anything. Obviously, something changed, right? So if we can just educate the client and not thinking, well, you touched my hair last, you must have did something. No, what changed in your body?
Mhm.
What changed in your mind? Like what's on your mind? And I can always tell when they're stressed, then the scalp goes crazy. When the blood pressure medicine changes, that
Yeah.
middle part, the texture just goes nuts.
Yeah.
When they're on when they're taking steroids, I can always tell. And I have a client the other day, and she had a growth, and they were giving her steroid, and hair was just falling. And I was able to reassure her that as long as you come off of the medicine, your hair is going to stop shedding. And she was so thankful that I was able to reassure her that you're on this medicine. It's temporary, but once you come off of it, the shedding is going to stop and your hair is going to regrow. So that's the power of education and knowing, we're not going to panic, we're not going to do anything, we're not getting we're not scalp oils, we're not doing none of that. It's
Right.
internal.
It's internal. And
Tell them something.
that's the biggest thing for me is the education. And because let's just be honest, not everyone desires to really operate fully in the space of trichology. First of all, trichology is very intimidating. It has been forever, right? Because people have talked, so much about, oh, I couldn't do it. I had this issue, I had that. So a lot of people stay away from it. We didn't like science in cosmetology school, so we definitely don't like it now, right? We did enough to get on the floor and to pass board, and that was it, right? So we stay
Right.
away from the scientific pieces. But my mantra is know how to triage your client. You might not want to be a full-on trichologist, but you at least need to be a hair loss first responder, because then you can triage. You know the questions to ask, the signs, you understand how to look at the scope, how to be in that prevention mode, so that when you start seeing things shift, you get that scope. Before it starts shifting, you get that scope. Make the scope a part of the process with your clients so that you can see things before they actually happen, because the naked eye is always going to have a delay in what it shows, right? Because we just can't see that small with the naked eye. But you have to at least have that frontline experience, because when you can educate, I call it, you leverage the power of trichology, and there's so much power behind it. You can change lives with it. You can also protect your career with it. So this is why I say indemnify your career with trichology. Trichology is insurance on your cosmetology career. Why? For multiple reasons. The number one reason is because now you can defend yourself against the nonsense that the client wants to throw your way, because they don't want to take accountability for their actions. They come and see you 1 to 4 times a month. And at the end of the day, they see themselves every day. And as soon as one thing starts happening negatively with their hair, it's always their hairstylist that has actually, done something wrong. When in actuality, it's you, because your body has a delayed clock, and what's happening with you, it probably started happening a month, 2, 3 months ago, and now you're thinking that it happened today. But no, your body has a delayed clock, because those cells have to turn over, and then it will manifest what happened previously. So you then want to blame us. But if you, as the professional, took up trichology, you would be able to mitigate a lot of those damages. You would be able to shift the way your clients think, and you can re-educate them on how to care for their body. So then the body will care for the hair. Not wait until you come to my back bar and you expect for all of the synthetic molecules that I have in these bottles to have a digestive system and to be able to be absorbed on a cellular level to then do magic. No, it's what's on the tip of your fork that is going to control how your cells actually work. And it's what's actually happening in your mindset that actually has the energy that's going to move those cells into a positive or negative space energetically in your physiology. So this is why it's a mind-body situation. When you're building protocols for recovery, you can't just focus on external. You have to focus on internal, and internal encompasses what's happening in the mind, because what's happening in the mind shows up in the nervous system. And the nervous system is the electrical socket for everything else that's going to happen, and how that is going to communicate with the endocrine system. What we got? We have Meta says trichology is the new cosmetology. Get to the bottom of it, then you'll better understand what to do. Absolutely. Sergio says triage, trichology, and cosmetology should be, and it will be standard. It should be. It should be. You need to understand how to triage these clients. We're coming with greater problems because our food is void of so many minerals because of all of the toxins that are in the air, that's going into the soil, all of the medications that, people are on, coming in and, causing issues with us on a cellular level. There's so many different factors that are working against our physiology in things that we cannot control. And so the things that we can control, we must do those things diligently. But I say it all the time. The issue is we've never been taught how to be in health. We've only been taught how to respond to illness. We've never been taught how to be in health. We've only been taught how to respond to illness. My job is to teach you how to be in health. But old habits die hard. So why can't I have coffee? Because it's a stimulant and you're already stressed out. Your stress is already on a 10. So no, you can't have that coffee. Your body is craving for it because your cells are not producing like it should. You have a mitochondria issue at this point. So now you're giving your body fake energy. So it's you as the practitioner coming up against them and their mindset, because they've already been programmed of how to be ill, not how to be healthy, because the doctors have only ever talked to them about dis-ease when they look at their diagnostic tests. They've not talked to them about how the body operates optimally. They talk about how it operates in dysfunction. So we have a lot of work to do as trichologists. When we come and like you said, you're a health coach as well. So all of that falls under the same umbrella with trichology. It's vast. There's so many different components, so many different layers. There's so much power in trichology and saving the lives, which is why I get so freaking excited when I talk about it. I was speaking to, my daughter had orientation today, and I met with some of the parents because a few of the girls wanted to go and have some lunch today. And so I'm sitting with the parents and they're like, well, what do you do? And I just took over the whole doggone conversation, because they asked me what I did. And I started telling them all the wonderful things I do with trichology with my students in my hair loss clinic, and, how life-changing it is as a whole. And it just makes me excited to know that I have been chosen to change lives. Like, that is an honor. It is a privilege. I don't take it lightly. And like you know, if I don't give someone the right information, or I feel like, you know, I can't help them, I would rather not work with you than do a disservice by telling you to do something that is not going to move the needle, that is not going to help you, which is one of the reasons why I'm really big in my clinic. And some of my students who have listened to my consultations or who have listened to the discovery sessions, they've heard me say, I don't think we're a good fit, because if you're not doing what the doctor is telling you to do,
right.
easy. Because you just pop a pill and it's supposed to make it all better. We are doing a whole lifestyle overhaul. So if you can't seem to get a regimen with the medication that you're taking, you're definitely not a good fit for me. And I respect you enough that I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to waste your money. And I also respect my time and how I spend it as well. And I don't want to be put in a situation where I have to become combative about someone finding their health valuable enough to make changes, you know. It's time to go into more advertising. We just having some good conversation. I'm sorry. Let's talk about ID really quickly. We doing all this conversation about why you need to level up, why you need, you know, this 5-day 19th through the 23rd. So let's talk about who's going to be there and what you're going to gain from it. Who do we have coming up? All right. First up, we have Marche Mayfield, tax and business strategist. We're going to teach you how to build an additional 6 figures in your business. Marche is going to teach you how to keep those 6 figures and how to actually employ those 6 figures for you to make passive income. She's going to talk to you about how to qualify for all the different types of loans, the documentation that you need to learn how to fill out so that you can stay on the up and up with IRS, stay on the up and up with being able to get what you've worked so hard for behind the scenes when you're looking to buy homes or you're looking to expand your business and get capital and all of that stuff. So can't wait for Marche because she's super dope. So I can't wait for her to come and share all of that knowledge with you as you learn this new skill set called Trichology. Dr. Joy K. Madison, oh boy, emotional well-being practitioner and advocate. Dr. Joy is a personal friend of mine, and she's also a psychologist. Dr. Joy is really big on helping you to understand yourself, coming back home, coming back to you. The reason why I invite Dr. Joy to every single ID is because before you can help anybody else, you got to know how to help yourself. If you're stuck in your mindset, you don't understand your triggers, then there's no way you're going to be able to jump in the fire to save someone else. So we have her to come in to help get us right in our minds before we go out here and start saving the world through Trichology. Dania Durton, she is an educator of the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases. Dania has many jobs, wears many hats, but this one that she wears at ID is very special. She will be training you on understanding the connection between the gut and the scalp microbiome, because you will also gain a certification as a scalp microbiome specialist as well as a hair loss first responder when you participate in the 5-day incubator with us. So you don't want to miss that one, because she's also going to be teaching you what you're looking at under the scope when you're scoping your client's scalp. You need to know how to identify what's happening there. So she's going to take you on a thorough journey of how to identify the maladies on your client's scalp. Tam Waters, hair loss and non-surgical hair replacement specialist. Tam is going to be teaching from a trichological perspective because, as you've heard Linda and I talking tonight, they are trichology and non-surgical hair replacement. It's a power duo. Like, you can really leverage trichology through non-surgical hair replacement, because some clients need a temporary fix. Some clients need a permanent fix, and there are different types of materials that should be used on those two clients, as you've heard Linda lightly speak on earlier. If you keep using the same material over and over again, you can exacerbate a situation and the client can be left with no follicles prematurely, and that's not what the intention was. So Tam is going to talk about some different techniques. She's also going to talk about more streams of income that you qualify for by accepting government contracts and medical billing. So you're not just learning trichology. If you know non-surgical hair replacement, or if you don't, it might be time for you to learn it. You will also be able to leverage with additional streams of income through medical billing and government contracts. Jessica Davis, certified trichologist and sister locks educator. She's also an American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases educator, double certified as a trichologist. Jessica brings a unique perspective to the American Academy of Hair and Scalp Diseases as she does things from a natural perspective. She works heavily with locks and natural hair restoration. So her view is unique, and I really, really value the perspective that she brings to the space. So I wanted to have her come in because we have a lot of people who work with locks, sister locks, natural hair, and you need to understand the terrain of the scalp when you're working with someone of that nature. So Jessica sheds a lot of light on that during her segment at ID. And we have Chris Bond, branding and marketing specialist. He is the GOAT at what he does. He's niched for the beauty industry. Chris has actually, everything that you see that I do, he has brought it to life for me. So why wouldn't I have Chris Bond come and speak and train you on how to build your brand? He's going to be going all in during his 2-hour segment that he has with you all, teaching you the elements of building your brand, not just about what banners look like, not looking at what the pictures look like on your website. He's going to actually go into the elements of building a personal brand. So you don't want to miss Mr. Chris Bond because he's quite entertaining when he does his presentation as well. So you will learn and you will laugh when you're under the tutelage of Chris Bond. We got Micheline Barber impacting the minds of millions. Micheline opens our event and shifting your perspective as you get ready to go into the unknown. She rocks the house. She brings it down every time she shows up. And I know for a fact that she's going to do it again this time. Something's always going on in Micheline's mind. God is always using her to bring awareness to the people, no matter where she is. Last time, some amazing things happened within the first hour of the event. It shifted the whole perspective of what was happening in that room. God showed up so big and he used her to pierce that veil so that we can get through some of the mindsets and purge some of the demons that were in that space. So if you've not been under her voice before, you don't want to miss coming into ID because she's a special gem that shares a lot during her segment. Who else do we have? It's me. It is yours truly. I am the facilitator of all the trichological stuff that is happening in that space. So all of the curriculum that we do in over 200 pages, I believe, in that workbook will be administered by me. So we have over 60 hours of education coming to you in 5 days, y'all. Y'all gonna be tired. But y'all will be full when you leave, I promise. That is my promise to you, that you will not leave the way you came, and you will have a grand understanding of why when you leave, so that you can serve your clients on a deeper level. So the link is at the bottom of this screen. Enroll now, because enrollment will be closing September 23rd. So you don't have that much more time to grab your seat. So if you have not already enrolled or you got questions, enroll or inbox me to ask your questions. So what I want to do right now is, because I am also a sponsor at the Impulse Summit coming up in September in Charlotte, North Carolina. I will be educating there, supporting Micheline Barber in her mission, her vision to support our industry, to get us in alignment, to get us things that we need. And I want to share with you this event because I want you to meet me there too. So let's run that commercial.
So I'm sitting here reflecting and reading my notes, and the biggest thing that I'm looking at is, who are you? So many people have been going through things, including myself. So many people have been pushed and pulled in different directions, including myself. When he told me to name it victory, it was a reason. But I also was reminded that before every victory, there was a battle. Some of us are going through grieving and not necessarily losing a person, but losing themselves. Or sometimes we grieve over the things that we used to have financially and say, I've never been in this position before. I've never been where I didn't have this amount. I could not do this and I could not move like I wanted to. Seriously, personally, that means we got to dig deep and say, what is it in me that's been laying dormant that I thought was dead, but I did not shake it up? What is that thing about me that I know I need to change in my business, the way I've been doing business? Because I've been doing it the same way. It's been the same thing over and over. So fight for your change. Fight for that thing that's going to give you victory. Impulse Summit is preparing for that. And we're fighting for you because we know what's going to show up in Impulse Summit in September. Because God has already said so. We've already been born in victory. We walk in victory. We talk in victory. We know what victory is. Let's go through the battle and the fight together. Get the Impulse Summit. It'll be well.
Yes, Victory 2024. So hopefully you guys can make it out to Charlotte, North Carolina. That event is amazing. I've been a part of it. This is going to be my 4th year being a part of Impulse Summit. And something always happens that shifts, even me as an educator. I go there to pour out, but I also get poured into. And that is the beauty about going into spirit-filled places, is that you get poured into. And that's the same thing that happens at ID Hair Loss Behind the Chair. We have our curriculum set, but it doesn't trump what God has said, which means that if you've been trying to get there, get there. But if you can't get there this time, timing is everything, because something different happens every time we're in the room of ID that is specific for those that are there during that time. God will wait for you to come. When he says it's time for you to be in that room, you will know. Don't come a moment before. I don't care how many times you see me on this live saying, come to ID, come to ID. That's my job to tell you to come. But it's your job to know what God is telling you to do. So my intention is not to override what God is telling you. My intention is to resonate with what God is telling you. And if he's calling you to come and be in that room, then be obedient and come and be in that room. He will make room for you to be there when it's your time to be there. And if your time is now and you have more questions, you can DM me. Or if you say, you know what, I've been on the site, I've looked at it, I looked at the FAQs, I don't have questions, I'm ready, I'm nervous, I don't know what to expect. That's a lot of money to invest. I will say this, yes, it is a lot of money to invest. However, it's a risk for you not to invest. Let me tell you that. It's a risk for you not to invest. So the risk is greater for you not to invest than it is for you to invest. The reason why is because your clients already have a problem and you don't have the solution. So eventually they're going to go somewhere else and get the solution because you didn't do your due diligence to go get the solution. I was once there, not knowing what to do. And I had to stop and say, even though I didn't think I had enough time, I didn't want to learn the science, I didn't have a choice. If I wanted to stay in the game, if I wanted to continue to be innovative, I had to get somewhere and sit down, and I had to get my studies. I did that for 12 months and I still came up empty when I came out. So I was defeated. I was all of that. But I refused to give up, just like Linda. I refused to give up because I knew it was my calling. And I had to keep pushing and I had to go get it. I had to figure it out. And that's why I'm qualified to stand here before you today, because I figured it out for you and me. Hit the potholes, engine blown up on the side of the road, all of the things. But I came out shining because I did not give up. So you don't give up either, because there is something at the end for you, whoever you are that I'm talking to. It is something at the end for you. So don't give up. And if your time is not now, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here doing the same thing. And so when it's your time, then come and see me. Linda, what I want to ask you is, what would you leave the people with tonight that are contemplating about trichology?
If you're a cosmetologist, right? We are a very select few outside of doctors that can touch. We're licensed to touch. And we're in such a difficult place right now where hair loss is a epidemic, pandemic, whatever demic you want to put to it, simply because we're not getting what we used to get from soil. We're not getting, your clients are not getting, we're not getting what we're supposed to get. And so after a while, if we don't do something, if we don't educate, if you don't educate yourself, after a while, what hair are you going to be doing?
Yeah.
Because every other person is like, I'm losing my hair, I'm losing my hair. So what hair are we going to be doing if we don't get ahead of it, if we don't know how to identify onset where something is happening? And cosmetologists, you know when something is happening. You see that little spot in the top of their head, and you know something is happening, and you don't want to say anything because in the back of your mind, you're saying, I don't want to blame me because I've been doing her hair for XYZ. I've been there. And so you hope that it goes away. Only to recognize it's not going away because it's something else happening in the body. And like Kai said, you don't have to go full deep into it because there's some stylists that they don't want anything to do with hair loss. But what I will say is at least know how to identify, at least know, hey, something is happening. But listen, you can only say that if you're doing the right thing. So let me talk to you about doing the right thing, right? Make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And don't let these clients come in and tell you they need a relaxer every other week and all this kind of nonsense. Understand? You have a responsibility to do the right thing. So after you have done the right thing and you see a client coming in and they are representing, they're presenting in different ways, then you know, okay, all right, something is happening. I need to be able to identify that. Or how about this? Partner with someone who is a trichologist, who is studying, and say, hey, I'm sending you this person. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to refer her. Have a referral system, right? Collaborate with someone who does that and can, help you in that. So there's so many things that we can do as cosmetologists. And I will say also is what I used to do, just go to a dermatologist. But let me tell you, most dermatologists do not specialize in hair and scalp. I didn't know that. I just said, go to a dermatologist. When they go to a dermatologist, they're going to tell them you need shots. You need the steroid shots. You understand? Because that's all they know, because they didn't study. This is not their specialty. So if you're going to refer your clients out to a dermatologist, well, you have the responsibility to look who specializes in, and they're very few and far in between, right? But arm yourself with the knowledge, at least get the basics, so that you can help these people. Because if you don't help them, they're going to the beauty supply and they're going to buy any old thing, put it on their scalp, and who knows what are they buying? They don't know what they're buying, but they're blindly going in, right? And some of us send them there. Well, go buy, that thing begin with a K, or go buy. I ain't calling nobody. I'm not calling nobody his name, but go buy XYZ. Because we don't retail, and so we don't have anything there on hand to help them, right? So we just have to take better care of our clients because we're licensed to do so, and we are licensed to really help people. And this is not a hustle. We're not hustling behind the chair. This is not a hustle. We are touching people, right? And we're taking care of the one thing that, every woman wants her hair. And when it begins to go, it affects them emotionally, you know, in every area of their life is affected. Some women don't even want to go out and date no more because they think everybody's, you know, that the guy is gonna be looking at her hair. So it runs deep. The river runs deep. So I will say, even if you don't want to study this, just know the basics. Just know the basics. And so you can begin to help people. And you just never know. You might be helping yourself also with helping other people. We just don't know.
That's that part. It's funny that you would say that, because that is the first revelation that happens when everyone gets into ID. And then if they decide to go the distance in AHSD, they're like, I'm my first customer with this. Like, everybody's in there taking note and saying, that's me right there. Oh, I have that too. That's me. And everybody's in there want to ask more questions about how to get help for themselves, because all of us are, you know, we're coming in contact with environmental pollutants, so many different things all the day long that our physiology can't help but be off. So we're going to have some symptoms, but how do you interpret them? Do you know what they're saying? Or do you wait until they're sounding off so loudly that now you need a prescription that is just going to mute that communication? Now you're going to silence the body's communication when it's telling you that something is wrong with the medication. It's not making the body better. It's only confusing the body and causing it to work harder in other areas. And you will eventually need another medication to compensate for what that medication is doing. Faye says, a European dermatologist told me about trichology over 10 years ago. In my dermatology class in South Korea, they even advised about trichology. So honestly, I don't understand why dermatologists in America are catty about trichology. Right, because they don't want us taking their clients. And this is one of the reasons why I always say, I teach my students to be very confident in who they are. We're not here to undermine trichologists. To undermine dermatologists. That is not our job. We do that because we have such vast knowledge. When you're trained appropriately, you have such vast knowledge, and then we get to offer herbs. They can't offer herbs. They are isolated to the medications. They will lose their license if they start offering, services with, stuff that does not have any evidence. It's no evidence-based, nothing on it. They can't offer that. So we actually have the leverage, because if we're shifting them in their physiology and they're getting the herbs, which all of the pharmacology, if you look at it, they have molecules of all these different types of herbs in them, because they can patent it that way. They can't patent onions and turmeric and, all of the things. So they don't want to use that because they want to make money off of it. And so, because pharmacology is meant to make money, us being in health means they've lost a patient. So it doesn't align. If trichology used its holistic approach, because we can't prescribe, we can't diagnose, but we can suggest and we can recommend, right? That's how you get around it. We can suggest, we can identify, we can recommend, and we can support, and we can give anecdotal suggestions. That's enough for me. That's enough for me to shift the terrain of the body. That's enough for me to rebuild a whole digestive system, for me to support liver detoxification, for me to support kidneys. That's enough for me to then get in to reestablish the endocrine system. That is enough for me. I don't need the medications. So for every patient that we support, we don't heal. We can't heal. That's a no word. For every patient of theirs that we can support with giving them the power, they are reclaiming their power and saying, I am going to be a responsible participant in my health, and I am going to implement the suggestions that you have made. That's a patient lost. So we're not here to undermine what they do, because what I do and what a dermatologist does are two different things. I don't do the same thing that they do. So I don't even align with the dermatologist. So that's no biggie for me. If I suggest a dermatologist, it's because I want them to go in and get a biopsy, because I want to be able to use the term that I want to use. If I already know they have a cicatricial alopecia and I want to say, oh, this is pseudopelata Brock, or I want to say this is lichen planopilaris, or I want to say this is folliculitis decalvans, I want to be able to say that. So I send them to get it and I say, this appears to be a cicatricial. Now let's go title on it. I let them give me the title because it gives me permission to utilize it. But regardless if it's neutrophilic or if it's lymphocytic, it's still, you know, an over response in the immune system. And I still know the work that has to be done regardless if I can say the name or not. It's not going to change the work that I need to do because I can't say the name. And that's the difference. So trichology and dermatology don't even do the same things. At least I don't teach in AHSD for dermatology and trichology to do the same things, because we don't prescribe, we don't diagnose. I don't believe in injections, corticosteroid injections. My adrenals secretes the corticosteroids that it needs when it's working optimally. I don't believe in giving any kind of prescriptions for antibiotics for the gastrointestinal system, because I understand how to use antimicrobials, you know, herbs for that, antibacterials, and how to rebuild the immune system. I mean, the gastrointestinal system, because I understand antibiotics is not rebuilding it. It's just, you know, exterminating it. It's not rebuilding. So we don't do the same thing. So why do I feel like you're in competition with me when 99% of my clients have already gone your way and they have been failed? So we don't do the same thing. So there's no need for me to feel like I'm in competition with you because we don't offer the same services. That's why as a trichologist, you have to be clear on what it is that you offer. There are trichologists that want to work with dermatologists, and you're not a holistic health practitioner, because you will never be able to support them if they're going through a dermatologist, because the derm is going to always diagnose and prescribe some type of steroid, some type of antibiotic, some type of topical, right? Or some type of spironolactone or something that is going to block androgens. So you will not be able to get in there edgewise with your holistic protocol if you're working under the dermatologist. If that is your jam and that is what you choose to do because you believe in allopathic care, then kudos to you, because everybody has a belief system and I'm not here to undermine yours. I just know what mine is, and mine is God made our bodies to heal itself when we give it the right conditions to heal in. So I lead with that, and that's how I teach in my course. So, you know, to each his own. Just understand and be clear on what it is that you need, desire, and want to do and want to align with, and then get out there on the front line after you've gotten what you need so that you can help the people that need you at the end of the day. This has been a wonderful conversation, Linda. I'm excited to be able to see you in October. I want to say thank you personally for trusting me with all the experience that you've had thus far. Thank you for saying yes to Kai. And I promise you that I'm going to support you in every way that I can, so that you don't have a bad taste in your mouth about trichology once you finish the 5-day course. There's so much more for you to learn beyond the 5 days, but I'm focused on giving you the meat of what you need in those 5 days to make a difference in your life, so that you feel comfortable with using that information with the current clients that you have and the prospective clients that you have coming. So thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. And just one last note, when you said, you know, your time will be your time. Like, you will know when it's time to go to that class. I met Kai in 2016 at a trichology conference. And look, 2016 up until now. And God said, now is the time. So don't beat up yourself. There's an appointed time.
There's an appointed time. Don't do it. And don't do it a moment sooner. And it doesn't even have to be my course. It's in all that you do. There is an appointed time. And I believe in being in alignment with how you proceed, because we don't want do-overs. We don't want to do stuff over. We don't want to go into things prematurely. And we definitely don't want to be in anything expired. So timing is everything. I promise you it is. So this has been really good. We're going to get out of here, and I will see you again next Tuesday, same time. But I want to leave you with this. Have an amazing rest of your week. Be good to yourself, whatever you do. Give yourself a big hug because life is hard. Life is hard and life be life. And so just give yourself a big hug and know that you are capable. You can do it. You've got this. And just keep your head high. I will see you next week. I love you guys and have an amazing night.
Bye-bye, everybody.